Welcome today to a journey through the ages of the Elvenking of the Woodland Realm, Thranduil. We take a look back from his time potentially in the First Age in the lands of Doriath all the way to the end of the Fourth Age with the rejuvenated Greenwood the Great, later known as Erin Lasgallen. His tale is one of resilience and of wisdom and a connection to the natural world. While Tolkien provides details about many parts of his life, there are also large sections where nothing is really said of note, so we might be doing a little bit of interpretation today, but I will specify any fact from personal thought, don't you worry. So let's not waste any more time and have a look at the life of Thranduil.
Build me a home worthy of Mordor.
I offer you my help.
For us today, Thranduil's story begins in those wondrous lands of Doriath, those that are nestled within the lands of Beleriand. This ancient forest, this beautiful land is imbued with tall trees and wondrous streams, as well as having its air filled with those elven songs. And this is where the son of J.R.R, the elven prince Thranduil, lives his early life, or so we think. While these kind of details paint such a vivid picture of the kind of wondrous land Thranduil grew up in, it is all just a bit of a what if because Tolkien never details any specifics from his childhood, no friendships, no events, nothing particular apart from the kind of beautiful land he would have lived in. It is kind of like I've hinted at. We don't even know if he was definitely born at the end of the First Age, or if maybe perhaps it was even as late as the beginning of the Second. However, it does seem to be more strongly thought that it was at the end of the First. It really just leaves everything open to a bit of interpretation. In this peaceful setting, it is likely that Thranduil developed a profound connection with nature, a characteristic integral to his later identity. We can surmise that Thranduil, growing up in Doriath, was immersed in elven culture, learning their language, arts, and traditions. The rich lore of the elves, including things like tales of the Valar and the creation of the world, we can only assume would have been integral to his upbringing. However, specifics about Thranduil's personal experiences during these years, such as his individual interests, friendships, or unique events he may have witnessed, these remain unexplored in Tolkien's texts. This part of his life, thus, is open to interpretation and imagination, offering a canvas for envisioning the early years of a future elven king in the tranquil yet vibrant life of Doriath before the shadow of war enveloped the land. The cataclysmic War of Wrath is what brings the end to that First Age, and this means many big changes for the lands of Middle-earth. The lands of Beleriand exist no more, Middle-earth has been reshaped, and this means upheaval and relocation for so many people. Thranduil, along with his father J.R.R, is forced to flee the devastation. This exodus, part of the Great Migration of Elves to the east, signifies a pivotal shift from the known beauty of Doriath to new, uncharted territories. Tolkien's writings, while not detailing this migration extensively, imply a period of significant transformation and adaptation for Thranduil and his kin, so one might only imagine the challenges and experiences Thranduil faced during this period. The journey to Greenwood the Great, the one later known as Mirkwood, is again not explicitly chronicled either. However, it is understood to be a critical juncture in Thranduil's life, laying the groundwork for his future role as a leader. This transition, filled with uncertainty, would have undoubtedly shaped his resilience and perspective on loss, change, and the preservation of elven culture in a rapidly evolving world. As we now move into the Second Age of Middle-earth, Thranduil and J.R.R settle themselves in Greenwood the Great. This era marks a whole new chapter in Thranduil's life, as they settle themselves amongst the Sylvan Elves who live in this wondrous and magical land of natural beauty. J.R.R assumes kingship over the Greenwood Sylvan Elves. Thranduil, inheriting his father's wisdom and strength, plays a significant role in bridging the cultures of the Sindar and the Sylvan Elves, though specific details of his actions during this period, again, are not extensively documented. This time is characterized by relative peace and the absence of the dark forces that would later plague the forest. Thranduil's deepening connection with the natural world and his growing leadership skills are inferred from his Sindarin heritage and future role as king, though Tolkien again does not provide explicit accounts of his activities during this era.
Death is upon you.
The flames of war are upon you.
As the Second Age comes towards its end, it is met with that climax of the War of the Last Alliance, and this is again such a pivotal moment in Thranduil's life. Elves, men and dwarves have come together to fight against Sauron, and Thranduil is there with the Sylvan Elves of Greenwood. Being led by his father on the plains of Dagorlad, Thranduil is involved in such a pivotal moment in Middle-earth's history. Thranduil's role in this war, while you may have guessed it, not elaborated in detail, is crucial in his transition from prince to king. The death of his father comes from the first assault upon Mordor. He attacked before Gil-galad gave the word, so not just he but over half of his people lost their lives too. This battle profoundly impacted Thranduil. This loss not only affects him personally, but also influences his perspective on war leadership and the responsibilities that come with ruling. One poor decision could cost many beings their lives. In the aftermath of the War of the Last Alliance, Thranduil assumes the kingship of Greenwood the Great. His return to Greenwood marks the beginning of his reign, where he is presumed to have adopted a cautious stance towards external affairs and prioritised the protection of his realm, a characterisation inferred from his later actions and the overall narrative of Middle-earth.
A shadow that grows in the dark. A sleepless malice as black as the oncoming wall of night.
Thranduil's rule over the Woodland Realm is one of steadfast guardianship over encroaching darkness. Sauron has returned in secret to Dol Guldur, and that ominous, mysterious evil is finally spreading throughout the forest, turning it into Mirkwood. But Thranduil is trying to focus his energy against this. There are more and more growing threats, from the likes of giant spiders to other evil beings. Thranduil just wants to protect his people. Tolkien's narrative suggests that Thranduil's leadership, often seen as isolationist, is actually a strategic response to these emerging dangers. He fortifies his kingdom, creating a stronghold deep within the forest. This fortress serves as a sanctuary for his people and a defense against these external threats. The Elvenking's halls are an architectural marvel as described in The Hobbit. These halls, carved into a cave system, serve as a testament to the elves' craftsmanship and their harmonious relationship with nature. The intricate design and grandeur of the halls reflect Thranduil's status and the cultural richness of his kingdom. One of the significant challenges during Thranduil's reign was the dark influence emanating from Dol Guldur. After it is revealed that the stronghold housed Sauron himself, it is easy to understand why it appeared so threatening. Thranduil's efforts are, therefore, increasingly geared towards protecting Mirkwood from this dark presence, an endeavour that defines much of his rule during the Third Age. Thranduil navigates the intricate politics of Middle-earth, ensuring the Woodland Realm remains a haven for his people amidst a world of change though. His reign spans centuries, and this underscores his commitment to preserving the elven way of life like we mentioned before, marking him as a key figure in its history. Tolkien describes Thranduil as a fair and noble elf, known for his love of feasts and celebrations. This portrayal adds a personal dimension to this character, highlighting his continued appreciation for the finer aspects of elven culture and his capacity for joy and merriment, balancing that more serious role as a ruler that is often put to the front.
A quest to reclaim a homeland and slay a dragon.
The events of 2941 of the Third Age finally come to pass, and these are important because these are the events told in The Hobbit. Thranduil starts to take less of a back seat and has to become more involved with the main narrative that is going on in Middle-earth. He has to once again look outside of his own borders. Thranduil's interactions with Bilbo Baggins and Thorin Oakenshield's company are crucial. Initially, he imprisons the dwarves, reflecting his cautious nature towards outsiders. When Thorin and his company venture into Mirkwood, they do inadvertently cross paths with Thranduil's realm, and the Elvenking's subsequent capture of the dwarves, while seen as a contentious act, does reflect his deep-seated responsibility towards safeguarding his kingdom. He is wary of any foreign presence that could pose a threat to his realm, especially given the historical strife between elves and dwarves. The dwarves escape though, and Thranduil understands their true mission, although he never believes they could succeed in their goal. However, not long after this, he hears word that Smaug has fallen, but he assumes the dwarves must have fallen as well. I mean, how could they have survived this? And knowing the treasures that the dragon once guarded, he is keen to claim it for himself. On his journey, he learns of the true devastation of Lake Town's destruction too, and does offer to help those people, meaning that the men of Lake Town, led by Bard, now joined the elves in discovering that in fact Thorin's company did survive, and they had control of the mountain. There was a tense standoff and Thorin refused to share anything that was inside, but due to Bilbo Baggins' smart thinking, the Arkan Stone was given to Thranduil so that negotiations could begin without bloodshed. That is not to say there would be no battle though. The next day, Dane Ironfoot arrived with backup for Thorin, and so the dwarves began to attack. This is when the orcs of the Misty and Grey Mountains, led by Bolg, son of Azog, attacked, and the others then joined forces to fight this greater enemy in the conflict that would be the one that becomes known as the Battle of Five Armies. Elves, dwarves, and men versus orcs and wargs. Thranduil's involvement in the Battle of Five Armies is a crucial moment, as although he is initially reluctant to engage in the conflict, he ultimately joins forces with the Men of Dale and the Dwarves of the Lonely Mountain to combat the common threat of the orcs and wargs. This alliance, although uneasy, showcases Thranduil's ability to put aside long-standing grievances for the greater good of Middle-earth. The battle itself is a turning point for Thranduil, who witnesses more of the horrors and costs of war. His decision-making during this crisis, including the eventual extension of aid and support to the people of Lake Town, reveals a compassionate side to his character, balancing his kingly duties with a broader sense of responsibility to the wider world. Thranduil's actions during this period demonstrate his complex nature as a leader, protective of his realm, yet capable of empathy and alliance when the need arises. His involvement in the events of The Hobbit is such a pivotal chapter in his long reign, one that further cements his legacy as one of the key figures in the history of Middle-earth. And it is also worth mentioning here that Thranduil is of course the father of Legolas Greenleaf, a key member of the Fellowship of the Ring. While Tolkien never delves deep into their personal relationship, this familial tie adds another layer to Thranduil's character, connecting him more directly to the central events of The Lord of the Rings too. We do not even know when Legolas was born or who his mother was, as well as not knowing if Legolas was even around for the events of The Hobbit either. He may well have been involved in the Battle of the Five Armies, or maybe, considering how Thranduil witnessed the loss of his own father, he didn't want Legolas to go to war with him. This has never been specified or rewritten, so it's one of those parts again that is just a bit of an educated guess. As the Third Age progresses towards its end, we reach the War of the Ring, and Thranduil definitely comes up against some challenges here. Although Sauron isn't now directly inside of Mirkwood anymore within Dol Guldur and has been sent back to Mordor, the threats are still at his doorstep. The dark presence of Mirkwood has not been fully removed yet. In the March of 3018, the creature Gollum is delivered to Thranduil as a prisoner by Gandalf and Aragorn to keep him safe and under watch. However, 3 months later Gollum manages to escape, and this is what leads to Thranduil to send Legolas to Rivendell to pass on this news to Lord Elrond, and then of course from there, the Fellowship of the Ring is formed. As for Thranduil at home, he has around a year of relative calmness, but in the March of 3019, his lands come under attack. Sauron's forces that had been gathering in Dol Guldur attacked Mirkwood, with the orcs timing this with the second assault on Lorien too, as well as the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. This conflict was known as the Battle Under the Trees, and despite a hard-fought battle, Thranduil came out as the victor. The fall of Sauron marks a turning point for Middle-earth, bringing an end to a prolonged period of strife. Post-war, Galadriel cleanses Dol Guldur once and for all, and Thranduil collaborates with Celeborn in a joint effort to cleanse and rejuvenate the forest. The renaming of Mirkwood to Erin Lasgallen, the Wood of the Green Leaves, signifies a renewal of the forest's ancient splendour. The forest is then divided, with Celeborn claiming the southern part, Thranduil claiming the northern part, and the two also gift in the middle to the Beornings and Woodmen. The conclusion of the War of the Ring and its aftermath represent significant chapters in Thranduil's life. His resilience, unwavering commitment to his people, and his influential role in the rejuvenation of his realm underscore his legacy as a sageous and noble ruler. Thranduil's actions during this period, as derived from Tolkien's legendarium, mark him as a key figure who played a vital part in ushering in an era of peace and renewal for the Woodland Realm. It is now the 4th age of Middle-earth, and Thranduil, albeit without much detail by Tolkien, is assumed to have just continued his rule of Greenwood the Great, or Mirkwood, or in fact now known as Erin las Galin. It is inferred under Thranduil's leadership, the forest regained some of its natural beauty and that majesty that it once held. A really great thing. This age is a time of significant change for the elves of Middle-earth, many of whom choose to depart for the Undying Lands, seeking respite from the world's weariness. Thranduil's ultimate fate is not specifically mentioned, leaving room for, again, interpretation. It is plausible, given the patterns observed among elves in Tolkien's world, that Thranduil might also have eventually journeyed to the Undying Lands, seeking peace after centuries of stewardship and conflict. Thranduil's legacy, as inferred from the narrative, is that of a king who adeptly navigated the challenges of his time. His leadership, initially marked by a cautious approach, adapts to the needs of his realm and the broader world, showcasing his wisdom and courage. His role in restoring and protecting the Woodland Realm is seen as a testament to his deep connection with the forest and his commitment to his people's well-being. While Tolkien's writings only partially detail Thranduil's life, his narrative remains a fascinating and integral part of the legendarium, embodying the enduring allure of the depth of the elven folk. So there we have it, a look at Thranduil's life, or at least of much of it as we know, from the forests of Doriath to the epic realm of Erin las Galin in the 4th Age. His profound connection to the natural world and his everlasting support of his people really makes him such an incredible character, and that stays with him throughout his time in Middle-earth. His journey, although only partially really told by Tolkien, is one of great interest and one of a great leader. Through wars, migrations, and the shifting sands of time, Thranduil stands as a symbol of adaptability and enduring wisdom. His reign, marked by both isolationist tendencies and courageous alliances, showcases a leader who evolves with the needs of his realm and the broader world. As the elves' presence in Middle-earth diminishes, Thranduil's narrative offers a poignant reminder of their legacy, a testament to their deep bond with nature and their unwavering spirit. At the end of the day, he just remains as such a compelling character throughout all the changes in Middle-earth. And now it is time for my question of the day, which is, what do you think Legolas was doing during the time of The Hobbit? Do you think he fought in the Battle of Five Armies? Or do you think he was left at home? Or in fact, maybe he was somewhere else in Middle-earth completely? Let me know your thoughts and theories on this in the comment section down below. And now to shout out our patrons. You guys are continuing to support our short film The Guard. We are making good progress, and I cannot thank you all enough. We of course have the Fire Demon tier member of Nashith and the Wizard Staff tier members of Andrew and Hunter. So finally, if you've managed to reach the end of this video today and you really enjoyed what you've seen, then please do consider hitting that subscribe button and getting that bell icon with all notifications ticked so that you will know when all future uploads go up. And so, thank you for spending just some of your time with me today, and I will see you next time on The Broken Sword.
This is the halfling who stole the keys to my dungeons from under the nose of my guards.
He is